Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Best English Podcast. I'm Sarah, and I am so excited about today's episode. This is one of my favorite topics, something that changes everything for English learners. Today, we are talking about conversational English, real English, the English people actually use when they talk to each other. Not textbook English, not formal English, but natural, flowing, conversational English. If you're at the intermediate level, you've probably noticed something frustrating. You can understand a lot of English, you can read articles, you can follow podcasts, but when it comes to having a real conversation, things feel different, more difficult, more confusing. Maybe you've experienced this. You're watching an English conversation in a movie and you think, I understand all the words, but I wouldn't know how to say that. Or you're listening to friends chat and you notice they're using expressions you've never learned. Or you try to join a conversation and you sound too formal, too textbook, not natural. This is what I call the conversation gap. The gap between knowing English and knowing how to use it in conversation. And today, we're going to close that gap. We're going to learn conversational English together. And if you enjoy this lesson, don't forget to like the video, leave a friendly comment, and share it with someone who might find it helpful. Your support really keeps this channel going. First, let's understand what we mean by conversational English. It's not just informal vocabulary, it's a complete system. A way of communicating that includes specific features. Conversational English has several key characteristics that make it different from formal or written English. In conversation, people use contractions constantly. I am becomes I'm. You will becomes you'll. They are becomes there. This is basic. But beyond contractions, there are reductions. Words get shortened even more. Going to becomes gonna. Want to becomes wanna. Have to becomes have to. These reductions happen naturally in fast speech. Many English learners avoid these because they seem informal or incorrect. But in conversation, they're normal. They're expected. Using full forms all the time can make you sound stiff, unnatural. In real conversations, people don't speak in perfect sentences. They use fillers. Words like like, you know, I mean. These aren't mistakes. They're conversation tools. They give the speaker time to think. They show the listener that you're still speaking. Discourse markers are different. They're words that organize conversation. Well, so, actually, anyway, by the way. These words don't add meaning to your sentences, they add flow to your conversation. For example, so anyway, I was thinking, the so and anyway don't change the meaning of I was thinking, but they make it sound conversational. This is how listeners participate in conversation without interrupting. Sounds like, right, really? They show you're listening. They encourage the speaker to continue. In many cultures, listening is silent. But in English conversation, active listeners make small sounds to show engagement. If you don't do this, speakers might think you're not listening or not interested. Conversations aren't precise. People use vague language. Kind of, sort of, a bit, or something, and stuff like that. This softens statements, makes them less direct, more friendly. Instead of, that movie was terrible. Conversational, that movie was kind of terrible, you know? The vague language makes it sound like an opinion, not a fact. This is important in casual conversation. This means leaving out words that are understood from context. In complete sentences, we might say, are you going to the party tonight? In conversation, going to the party tonight? The are you is understood. Ellipsis makes conversations faster, more efficient. These 5 features create conversational English. They're not mistakes. They're not lazy speech. They're the natural patterns of spoken communication. Now, let's listen to some examples. I'll show you the difference between textbook English and conversational English. First, Textbook English. I am going to go to the store because I need to purchase some milk. Now, conversational English. I'm going to go to the store because I need to get some milk. Hear the differences? Contractions. I'm instead of I am. Reduction. Gonna instead of going to. Casual conjunction. 'Cause instead of because. Simpler vocabulary. Get instead of purchase. Another example. Textbook. That is an interesting point. However, I must disagree with your conclusion. Conversational. That's interesting, but I don't really agree. Contractions. That's. Informal transition. But instead of however. Vague language. Really softens the disagreement. Simpler structure. These differences matter. They affect how natural you sound, how comfortable people feel talking with you. Today, we're going to learn how to use these conversational features naturally. Let's start with the most important skill for conversational English: listening. To learn conversational English, you need to listen differently. Most listening practice focuses on understanding content, understanding information. But conversational listening is different. It's about understanding patterns, understanding how people interact. Here's how to listen for conversation. Every language has a musical quality, a rhythm. English conversation has a particular rhythm. It's stress-timed. Important words get stressed. Other words get reduced. When you listen to conversations, don't just listen for vocabulary. Listen for the beat, the rhythm. Try tapping your finger to the stressed syllables. For example, listen to this sentence. I was thinking we could go somewhere this weekend. Hear the rhythm? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. The stressed syllables create the beat. Conversation is a dance. People take turns speaking. They know when to speak, when to listen, when to jump in. Notice how conversations flow. How does one person know when the other is finished? What signals do they use? Common turn-taking signals. Falling intonation at the end of a thought. Questions that invite response. Pauses that aren't filled immediately. Phrases like, you know, or right, that check for understanding. Listening for turns helps you learn the timing of conversation. In real conversations, people make mistakes. They correct themselves. They rephrase. This is called repair. Listen for phrases like, what I'm trying to say is, actually, let me rephrase that. Or rather, these aren't errors. They're natural conversation tools. Learning them helps you sound more natural when you need to correct yourself. How do people agree politely? How do they disagree without being rude? Common agreement phrases. Exactly. I know what you mean. That's so true. I feel the same way. Common disagreement phrases. I see what you're saying, but that's a good point. However, I'm not sure I agree with that. Actually, I think. Notice the patterns. Disagreement often starts with agreement. This softens it, makes it more polite. Now, let's practice together. I'm going to play a short conversation. Listen for the features we discussed.
Hey, so how was your weekend?
Oh, it was pretty good. Kind of relaxing, you know?
Yeah? Did you do anything special?
Not really. Just hung out at home, watched some movies, that kind of thing.
Nice. Sometimes that's exactly what you need.
Right? Anyway, how about you?
Did you notice the conversational features? Contractions. It was instead of it was, though it's would be more common. Fillers. You know. Anyway. Vague language. Pretty good. Kind of. Some movies. That kind of thing. Back channeling. Yeah? Nice, right? Ellipsis. How about you? Instead of, how was your weekend? This is natural conversation, not perfect grammar, but real communication. Now, let's learn how to practice this kind of English. Learning conversational English requires specific practice. Here are exercises you can do every day. Find a transcript of a natural conversation. TV shows, movies, podcasts with conversations. Read the transcript aloud. Pay attention to where the contractions are, where the fillers are, how sentences are shortened. Then, listen to the actual conversation. Notice how the actors or speakers bring the words to life, the pauses, the emphasis, the rhythm. Practice common reductions until they feel natural. Say these out loud. I'm gonna, I am going to, I wanna, I want to, I have to, I have to, I gotta, I have got to. Do you? Do you? What do ya? What do you? Start slow, then speed up. Make them automatic. Imagine common conversation scenarios. Practice both sides. For example, ordering coffee, making small talk, asking for directions, talking about your weekend. Switch roles, be different characters. This builds flexibility. Now, let's talk about specific conversational situations. Let's start with the most common, small talk. Small talk is the gateway to conversation. It's how conversations begin. For many English learners, small talk is the most difficult part. It feels meaningless, awkward, but it's essential. Small talk serves important functions. It establishes connection. It tests the waters for deeper conversation. It fills silence comfortably. It shows friendliness. Here are the most common small talk topics in English: weather, weekend plans or activities, work but not too personal, current events, safe topics, sports, if you follow, travel, entertainment, movies, TV, books. Let's learn some essential small talk phrases. Starting small talk. How's it going? Have you been? What's new? How was your weekend? Responding. Pretty good, thanks. How about you? Not bad. You? Same old, same old. Can't complain. Keeping it going. So, what have you been up to? Anything exciting happening? Seen any good movies lately? Ending politely. Well, it was good talking to you. I should let you go. Anyway, I won't keep you. Let's catch up again soon. Now, let's practice a complete small talk conversation.
Hey, how's it going?
Not bad, thanks. How about you?
Pretty good. How was your weekend?
It was nice. Pretty relaxing. Just did some stuff around the house.
Yeah? Anything interesting?
Not really. How about you? Do anything fun?
Actually, I went to that new Italian place downtown.
Oh, yeah? How was it?
Really good. You should check it out.
I might do that. Anyway, I should get going.
Yeah, me too. Take care.
You too. See you later.
Notice several things. Questions are returned. How about you is used repeatedly. Details are added gradually. Italian place downtown instead of just restaurant. The ending is mutual. Both agree to end. Future connection is implied. See you later. This is natural small talk. Now, let's talk about going deeper. Once small talk is established, conversations can go deeper. But how? How do you transition from weather to meaningful topics? Transition phrases. So actually, I wanted to ask you about, speaking of, I was wondering. That reminds me. By the way, showing interest. Really? Tell me more about that. That's interesting. How did that happen? What was that like? How did you feel about that? Sharing experiences. I know what you mean. Something similar happened to me. That reminds me of when I can relate to that because handling sensitive topics. If you don't mind me asking, you don't have to answer if it's too personal, but I hope it's okay to ask this. Let's practice a deeper conversation.
So, how's work been?
Busy, but good. We're working on a new project.
Oh, yeah? What's it about?
It's a marketing campaign for a new product. Actually, it's pretty challenging.
In what way?
Well, we're trying to reach a younger audience, which isn't really our usual demographic.
That sounds interesting. How are you approaching that?
We're using more social media, different messaging. It's a learning curve.
I bet. We went through something similar last year.
Really? How did that go?
Pretty well, actually. We learned a lot. I could share some strategies if you're interested.
That would be great. Thanks.
Notice how questions become more specific. In what way? How are you approaching that? Personal connection is made. We went through something similar. Offer of help is made naturally. I could share some strategies. The conversation has depth but remains professional. This is how conversations develop naturally. Now, let's talk about a crucial skill: telling stories. Stories are the heart of conversation. We share experiences, we entertain, we connect through stories. But telling stories in a second language is challenging. Here's a simple structure for conversational stories. 1. Set the scene. So, the other day, you'll never believe what happened. I have to tell you about this. 2. Build the story. Anyway, so then, next thing I know, so what happens is 3. Add drama. And get this. Can you believe it? I couldn't believe my eyes. 4. Conclude. So, in the end, long story short, anyway, that's what happened. Let me tell you a short conversational story using this structure. Okay, so you'll never believe what happened to me yesterday. I was at the grocery store, right? Just doing my normal shopping. Anyway, I'm in the cereal aisle, and this guy comes up to me. And get this, he thinks I work there. Just because I was looking at the cereal boxes seriously, I guess. So he starts asking me where the organic granola is. And I'm like, I don't work here. But he doesn't believe me. He thinks I'm just being difficult. Long story short, I actually helped him find it just to end the awkwardness. Can you believe that? Notice the conversational elements. Right? To check engagement. Anyway, to transition. And get this, to build drama. I'm like, for informal quotation. Long story short, to summarize. Question at the end to involve listener. Now you try. Think of a simple story from your life. Practice telling it with these elements. Stories make conversations memorable. They show personality. They create connection. Practice telling short stories about something funny that happened, a mistake you made, a surprise you experienced, something you learned. Keep them short, 1 to 2 minutes maximum in conversation. Now, let's talk about handling problems in conversation. Even in your native language, conversations have problems, misunderstandings, awkward moments. In English, these feel magnified. Here's how to handle common conversation problems. Problem 1. You didn't understand. Don't just say, "What?" That can sound rude. Instead, sorry, could you repeat that? I missed that last part. Come again? Sorry, I didn't catch that. Problem 2. You need time to think. Don't just stay silent. Use fillers. That's a good question. Let me think. How to put this? Well, it's like, I've never really thought about that. Problem 3. The conversation is dying. Revive it with, so what do you think about changing the subject a bit? That reminds me of something else. By the way, problem 4. You said something wrong. Correct naturally. Actually, let me rephrase that. What I meant was, or rather, actually, scratch that. Problem 5. You want to end the conversation. End gracefully. Well, I should probably get going. Anyway, I don't want to keep you. It was great talking to you. Let's continue this another time. Now, let's practice problem solving with a difficult conversation.
So, what are your thoughts on the new government policy?
That's a big question. Let me gather my thoughts. Well, from what I understand,
Sorry, I didn't catch that last part.
I was just saying that from what I understand, it's pretty controversial.
Right. And what's your take?
I haven't fully made up my mind. There are good points on both sides. Actually, let me rephrase that. I see the benefits, but I worry about the implementation.
That makes sense.
Anyway, I should probably get going, but this was really interesting.
Yeah, let's continue another time.
Notice how the speaker buys time with, let me gather my thoughts, admits uncertainty naturally, rephrases to clarify, ends gracefully. These skills make conversations smoother, less stressful. Now, let's talk about cultural aspects. Conversation isn't just language, it's culture. Different cultures have different conversation rules. In English conversation, there are some important cultural norms. Norm 1. Turn-taking is relatively balanced. In many English conversations, people take roughly equal turns. Long monologues are less common. If one person talks too much, it can feel like lecturing. Norm 2. Interruption has rules. Interrupting is sometimes acceptable, but there are rules. Small interruptions show engagement. Right, exactly. But interrupting to change the subject is rude. Norm 3. Eye contact matters. In many English-speaking cultures, eye contact shows attention and honesty. Too little can seem shy or dishonest. Too much can feel aggressive. Natural eye contact. Look away, look back. Norm 4. Personal space is larger. English speakers tend to stand farther apart than in some cultures. About an arm's length is comfortable for conversation. Norm 5. Humor is common. Light humor is often used in conversation. Not necessarily jokes, but witty comments, playful teasing among friends, self-deprecating humor, making fun of yourself, is often appreciated. Norm 6. Directness varies. American English tends to be more direct. British English tends to be more indirect. Australian English is often very direct, but friendly. Knowing these differences helps. These cultural norms affect how conversations feel. If you come from a culture with different norms, English conversation might feel strange at first. That's normal. Awareness helps. Now, let's put everything together into a daily practice routine. Improving conversational English requires regular practice. Here's a daily routine you can follow. Morning, 10 minutes. Listening focus. Listen to natural conversations. Choose one of these daily. TV show conversations, podcast interviews, YouTube vlogs, movie dialogue scenes. Listen actively. Ask yourself, What conversational phrases do I hear? How do people take turns? What's the rhythm like? How do they start and end conversations? Afternoon, 10 minutes. Phrase practice. Choose 3 conversational phrases from your morning listening. Practice them. Say them aloud 5 times each. Change one element, subject, tense, etc. Create your own sentences with them. Imagine using them in real situations. Evening, 10 minutes. Speaking practice. Practice speaking conversationally. Describe your day aloud as if telling a friend. Practice small talk with an imaginary person. Tell a short story about something that happened. Role play a common conversation scenario. Sarah. This 30-minute daily routine builds conversational skills systematically. Morning builds input. Afternoon builds phrases. Evening builds output. Now, let's talk about specific resources for learning conversational English. Not all English materials teach conversational English. Here are the best resources. TV shows with natural dialogue. Friends, American English, though somewhat dated. Modern Family, modern American English. The Office, American or UK version. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, casual workplace English. Any reality TV show, unscripted conversation. Podcasts with conversations. Conversation-based podcasts, search conversation or chat. Interview podcasts. Comedy podcasts with banter. Panel discussion shows. YouTube channels. Vloggers who talk to the camera. Conversation analysis channels. Street interview channels. Language learning channels that focus on conversation. Movies. Comedies. Natural dialogue. Dramas with realistic conversation. Romantic comedies, often dialogue heavy. Real life. Language exchange partners. Conversation groups. Casual interactions with English speakers. Listening to conversations in public, patiently. Learning conversational English is a journey. It's about moving from textbook perfection to real communication, from hesitation to flow. Remember these key points. Conversational English has its own rules. Contractions, fillers, and reductions are normal. Listening is as important as speaking. Practice should be regular and focused. Mistakes are part of learning. The goal isn't to sound like a native speaker. The goal is to communicate effectively, to connect with people, to express yourself naturally. You can do this. Every conversation is practice. Every listening opportunity is learning. Every day brings improvement. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for your commitment to improving your English. The world needs your voice, your perspective, your ability to connect across languages. Keep practicing, keep learning, keep having conversations. This is Sarah from Best English Podcast. Go have a conversation today, even if it's just with yourself. Even if it's just practicing phrases, every conversation matters. I'll see you in the next episode. Happy conversing!